Guys, I figured it out. So in the first half of the Ipswich match last weekend, I wore my Chelsea jersey, and I took it off at halftime, then we came back and got a draw. Today, I didn't wear my Chelsea jersey at all, and then we got the win. I figured it out. That's the problem. I cannot wear my Chelsea jersey anymore for the rest of the season.
But what about the Legia match?
Damn it! What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. Well, was not expecting that. And I'm not going to sit here and say, what a phenomenal match. We played fantastically. I'm not going to lie. This was not a wonderful match. But I will say that second half is probably some of the most fight I've seen from us in a while. The way we really pushed ourselves, the way we actually went in, and we were trying to make things happen. We were not trying to just knock it around the back. We weren't playing slow. We were playing direct. We were playing with some intensity. We had players that were fighting for every ball. It was some of the best fight I've seen from the second half of the season, which is good. Will it continue? Well, let's talk about it. First of all, from Maresca, I will say, still not great from him today. The lineup is not very well set up. And first of all, again, you've benched Sanchez. He's had 3 games in a row now where he's assisted, he scored, and then he assisted. And then you bench him again. I don't understand it. Neto and Madueke have not really done much to impress, so I don't understand why you're benching the guy who's actually been performing out of our front line. Doesn't really make sense. On top of that, he puts James in, and I gotta say, the amount of delusion, I guess is the right word, from some of these Chelsea fans online, it blows my mind. Because the amount of Chelsea fans that saw the lineup and went, he's putting Reece James at right back. We got it. We got it today. I don't understand. How do you not know he's going to invert him into the midfield? How do you not know that's what he's going to do? Because that's what he does whenever James plays at right back. He never keeps him at right back. I don't know why. As many times as we've seen that Reece James cannot play in the midfield. I mean, he looked awful there against Legia, but he's going to keep trying it because that's what Maresca does. He does not learn from his mistakes. He's going to keep making the same mistakes over and over. And what's ridiculous on top of that is you invert James into the middle, which now means that Cucurella is not the one inverting into the middle, and he's the one having to stay back. One of our most dangerous players over the past several run of games, you're now making him play in defense. You're keeping him back as the third defender. How stupid is that? And even in the second half, he brings Gusto in for James, and he still has Gusto be the one to invert. What? Have you lost your mind? I'll answer that for you. You have. What an idiotic decision. You've hamstrung one of your most dangerous players for the second half of the season. Is it embarrassing that our left back is one of our most dangerous players? Yes. That doesn't mean you don't let him be dangerous. That doesn't mean you say, hey, you stay in defense today because we're going to have this other guy who constantly loses the ball when he's in the middle of the pitch. We're going to have him play in there today. Real smart, Maresca. And where's the goal for Fulham come from? James loses it in the midfield, and then they're in. And easy goal for Iwobi. It's ridiculous. But for all the shit that I'm going to give Maresca for his decisions today, he did make one that positively affected the game that is not a decision that he's been making recently. So it's the only change he made today, and it is ultimately what won us the game. He puts George in over Nkuku. Thank God. It's ridiculous that it has taken him this long to think about that as the possibility. Because we know Nkuku only kills our attack. We know he does not help us going forward. George, he's young, but he has energy. He has the pace. He has the willingness to go on these runs, to put pressure on the back line, to put himself into good positions, and to even have a shot sometimes. And as we saw today, that benefited us in the front line. So that sub is the only change that Maresca made today that's different from his usual, and look what happens. That's the thing about it. If he could just make more of these types of changes, if he could just not be so stubborn, we might actually have a chance to make Champions League this year. But the problem is that's the only thing he did today that was out of the norm. Everything else, exactly what I expect from him. The same dumbass decisions that have been killing us for the second half of the season. This is a great win. It was a great second half performance. It was a really good decision to bring George on. Do I expect it to continue? Not really. I feel like this is more of a fluke than it is a sign that maybe Maresca has finally learned that what he's doing isn't really working. He can obviously prove me wrong, but I'm not confident that he's going to, because he's proven me right most of this season. But getting into the individual performers, Sanchez today, I actually thought wasn't that bad. The main reason being that he didn't try to play a whole lot of passes in the back today. There were several moments where I was looking at it and I got a little nervous because we sent a ball back to him. He's under pressure. Somebody's running up to try to nick the ball off of him. And I'm just used to him in those moments kind of panic passing to somebody under pressure. They lose the ball, and now all of a sudden we're about to get scored on. But today it felt like, I don't know if this was instruction from Maresca or if after the last match against Ipswich, after he made that decision to go long, and then Maresca was like, oh, well, we did that and that was wrong, and then he still didn't bench him. I don't know if now he's more confident to go, you know what? I'm tired of giving up the ball. I'm tired of being the one under the fire whenever I make a bad pass because I'm not good at passing. And so today he just decided, I'm going to not do that. And he decided to go long. He decided to get it out of danger whenever the pressure was on. But I don't remember him making any serious errors today. You know, the goal is not really much he can do. It's coming through Colwell's legs and to the far side of the goal. So it's a difficult save for anybody to make. But outside of that, he held the ball pretty well, made some good saves, didn't really cause any issues with his passing. It looked to more so just get it long and get it out of danger, which I think is what he should be doing normally. And I'm okay with all of that. So, yeah, I don't know if that was a Maresca change or if Sanchez just said, you know what, screw it. I'm not doing what he's telling me to do because all that's doing is just making me look like an idiot. But whatever the case, Sanchez, for me today, looked a more competent goalkeeper. I still don't think he should stay. I still don't think he's a Premier League level goalkeeper that should be leading the line for us. But I think today showed he is definitely the better keeper that we have here at the moment. Into the back line, starting with James. Again, inverting into the midfield is not for him. And it showed several times. Not just the goal. There were several moments where he got the ball picked off him too easily. He's a little too slow in there defensively. He's now out of position. He doesn't know what he's doing in there. It's just not his position. Cucurella has been doing it so comfortably throughout the entire season. Why not let him do that today? Why not keep James in the right side of a back three, let Cucurella be the invert? It just makes no sense to me. But again, it's Maresca, so it doesn't really surprise me. Colwill and Chalobah, it was kind of an iffy match. There were several moments where you could see the good they were doing. You could see that they were making some good challenges. They were putting good pressure on Jimenez and Pereira when he came up. But there were also several moments where they're just all over the place. I mean, defensively, we look a mess. And again, a lot of that is down to we don't have experience back there. Many people have talked about it, but that's just the case of it. We do not have good experience in the back line. We're going to concede chances because our defenders don't know how to organize themselves, and we don't have anybody that can do it. And so we're going to give up chances by just not tracking runners, by letting people go way too easily. And the midfield's also not really connecting well. I'll get to them in a minute, but it's just not really well set up to make sure that teams don't have it easy whenever they're breaking on us. Cucurella on the left side, I will say there are some issues that are starting to pop back up into his game that I remember seeing from the last couple seasons. Those moments where he just kind of goes flying into challenges. He's making some dumb decisions defensively that cause him to get beat a little too easily. There's the one late on in the match where Wilson's going to win the ball, and you could see he's not even trying to be clever about it. Like there are some times you could tell the players are trying to be clever. They try to, give a little look and then sort of nip in front or something just to maybe con the referee into being like, oh, okay, that was a fair challenge. But when you go flying in and you're just looking at the player the whole way and then just dip your shoulder and not even trying to play the ball, the referee's always going to give that. And the problem is, if you just go with him, you don't try to make that foul, we probably win the ball back because you're probably a bit faster than Wilson is. So to do that, it puts us in a dangerous position because now they have a free kick in a dangerous position. I just don't like that decision. And he's not the only one that made some dumb decisions today in the heat of the moment. For him and how far he's come this season, I don't expect to see that from him anymore. But he did that a couple of times, and defensively, like I said, there are some lapses that are starting to come back into his game between this and then the Ipswich match, and even some of what we saw against Legia. There are just those few moments that are starting to pop back up that make me worried that is the old Cucurella starting to return? And I don't want to see that Cucurella again because that was Cucurella that I never wanted to see play for Chelsea. But getting into the midfield, Caicedo and Fernandez kind of felt similar to what we saw most of last season, where it felt like we were overrun in the midfield. We didn't really have any connectivity between the two of them and the defense. There were several moments where it feels like a Fulham midfielder picks it up and neither of them are close to that player. And some of that is, I do think Gusto and James were not doing the inverting well because that's not what they're meant to do. And so I do think sometimes they're supposed to help out with that. But I also do look at Caicedo and go, your positioning is normally a little bit better than it was today. Fernandez is typically pretty good at reading the play and at least getting himself into a position where if he does miss a pass or he does miss a player, he can still get back and put himself at least in front of it to keep him from having a run right at the defense. So I don't know what was going on with that today. I think the most damning moment in the match was in the second half where there was a Fulham midfielder who, I think it was Berger, missed the ball and it goes past him and I'm thinking, all right, well, somebody's going to go pick that up. And then I can't remember if it was Jimenez or if there was another midfielder for Fulham, but there's a Fulham player going and picking up the ball after he missed it. And I'm just thinking, how are there two Fulham players that are wide open in the middle of the pitch? One can miss it and then the other one goes and picks it up without any pressure on him whatsoever. It just was not a good look. And I guess while I'm on the topic of Fulham players being free, I will go ahead and also mention the set piece coach again, because the one corner that they had where there were two Fulham players heading the ball free in the middle of the box and they actually got in each other's way, and that's the only reason they missed that, I once again have to ask, what is the set piece coach doing? What is he teaching this team? Because I'm not seeing any benefit. You know, our corners today, our free kicks today were pretty poor. Obviously, the defending on them are not that great either. So what is he doing here? What are we paying him for? Because again, you want to make fun of Arsenal, you know, all these fans that want to make fun of Arsenal for being set piece FC, at least they're scoring from them. At least they're not conceding from them. Into the front four, can't really give too many plaudits today. Madueke, not really much from him in the first half and then got yanked at halftime. Palmer, once again, not really much from him. He just looks a shadow of his former self. I do attribute a lot of that to Maresca. You know, some people have been asking, is it Maresca's fault? Is he the problem? Or is Palmer just in a bad run of form? Managers find a way to get the best out of their best players. They just do. I think Maresca, not only has his system killed a lot of what Palmer was doing last season and kind of at the beginning of this season, he wants him to be a lot more of a controlled player. He doesn't want him to have that creative freedom. And I think that has led to a lack of confidence. He doesn't want to try too much because he feels like if he loses it, well, then that's on him. And I just think there's a lot of issues, but they do all stem from Maresca and what he's doing with them. And I think ultimately, even if Maresca was not the one, even if he was just having a dip in confidence and a dip in form, I still think it's on the manager to find a way to get the best out of him. Whether it's you take some of the pressure off of him, maybe you bring him off the bench in a few matches so he can come on late on in the matches whenever the other team is maybe a little bit more tired and he has a bit more license to sort of go at them, but he's just not making any changes. He's just, let's put Palmer back out there and let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. And at some point you have to realize he's not doing anything. You're not helping him. You're not helping the team. You're just putting him out there because, oh, well, we can't not play Palmer. Yeah, but who made the decision to not play Felix in that position? You could have not played Palmer. You could have had an option that you could have put in there and could have done the job to give Palmer a break. But now we don't have that anymore because you ran him off. So good job, Maresca, for that one. Neto obviously gets himself the goal that wins the match, which is great for him. But I can't ignore the rest of his performance. The rest of his performance was absolutely terrible. His crosses, again, just like in the Ipswich match, were awful. There's nobody on the end of them. There's no way we're going to get on the end of them because we don't have that kind of presence in the box. They're not well taken. And you have to realize at some point it's not working. And on top of that, there were several moments where he cuts inside in the second half on his left foot, goes to have a shot, and it's just not on. You know, whether he's off balance, whether it's right at the keeper because there are defenders in the way, whatever the case, it wasn't on today. Everything he was trying was just not working. And obviously, the goal is great, and it wins us the match, and I'm glad that he got that. But I can't just ignore all the moments you missed in the first half, and a lot of the second half as well. It just was not good enough. And then Jackson, another performance similar to the Legia match, and even similar to the Ipswich match, where it just feels like he's not at the same level that he has been. And the thing is, I've talked about this. His finishing has not really been that good for a majority of the second half of the season, but he still is at least working hard. He's still putting in challenges. He's still creating opportunities for the team, which is what we need right now from whoever's playing up front. You know, obviously people are going to say, well, the striker's main job is to score goals. And yeah, you should expect your striker to score. But if you have a striker up there who's not scoring and is also not doing anything to help the team, that's a problem. And that's why Nkuku is not a better option, because he doesn't score and he doesn't create opportunities. We look dead when he's in the number 9. Jackson, at least until the past few matches, he's creating opportunities. He looks dangerous, which is why we've needed him up there. This is 3 matches now where he's not really the same creative force that he has been. And I don't know if it's the injury. Like I said, I think against Legia, I asked if maybe he came back too early. I'm starting to feel like that might be possible, that's what's going on. So hopefully he can find that form again. And like I said, for me, the finishing, it is important, but it's not as important as just putting in a good performance and causing issues for the back line. So that way our team looks better in the attack as a whole. Gusto, once again, probably one of the worst players on the pitch. Really don't understand why he continues to get time. I don't know if Achimpong was on the bench. I feel like he would have been a better option to bring on. I also do want to ask, why is it whenever Gusto plays and we go short, for some reason the idea is we're going to go short and then we're going to give it to Gusto and he's going to be the one to put in the cross? Whose idea is that? You have to look at it and go, he's one of our worst crossers on the team. He's one of our worst players in the attack. He doesn't cross well. He doesn't shoot well. His passing is abysmal. Why are we going to him as one of our options? It makes no sense. Also had Sancho come on at halftime for Madueke, and he didn't get an assist, I don't think, today, but I tell you what, he still brought a lot of danger in that second half. I mean, the tide 100% turned at halftime. I don't know what happened. Kind of felt like maybe Fulham took their foot off the gas a little bit as well, but we had stepped it up. I think Sancho had a lot to do with that. He was the basis for a lot of the attacks that we had in the second half. He can't not start anymore, right? You can't bench him anymore after this run of form he's been in. You didn't bench him for so long when he was in a very bad run of form. Now he's got the assists, he's got the goals, and now you're starting to bench him? That doesn't make sense, especially when Madueke and Neto have mostly been unproductive. So if I see Sancho get benched for another match in the Premier League, I'm going to riot. I don't know how that's going to work because obviously me rioting in America has nothing to do with what's going on in the UK. So they're probably not even going to care, but I don't know. I'll find a way. Also, in case any FBI are watching this, no, I'm not actually going to do anything, so calm down. This is all jokes. But then the last sub that mattered was George on for Jackson. Like I said, that's a change in what Maresca used to do, and it's a good change. And he gets himself a goal. He looks really dangerous up there. I say that's got to be the go-to sub now. Whenever Jackson needs a sub, whenever he's not feeling it, whatever the case, George has to be the one that comes on for him now. After this performance, you can't not go to him as your secondary striker. The final sub, though, was Tosin for Gusto, and that was just because Gusto got hurt. Hopefully that means we won't really see much more of him the rest of the season. Not wishing that people get hurt, but if anybody was going to get hurt, that's one that I don't really mind. I'm hoping that means Achimpong maybe gets a chance to start a couple matches as well, because, I mean, Tosin came on, immediately put under pressure, and almost immediately gives away a goal. So he's really not doing much for himself. And obviously this is his former team too. So there's that added pressure as well. He's just not at all what I was hoping he was going to be when he joined this season. An experienced Premier League defender who's not in his early 20s. He's, I think, mid-20s, 26 or 27 or something. I was really hoping he was going to bring just a little bit of experience to this back line. And he's not done that at all. But with all that being said, this was not a win I was expecting. I actually was expecting basically losses and draws outside of the Swedish team we're facing in the Conference League. I was expecting nothing for the rest of the season. So could this be something to build on? Maybe. My opinions on what I thought the results were going to be were mostly based on the idea that Maresca doesn't change. He doesn't change his tactics. He doesn't change his subs. It's all been the same in this awful run of form. Even whenever we got some wins, we still didn't look good. We were beating teams that were not that good, but he's not changing anything in those matches either. And even today, I would say his system overall still didn't work. What he did in the first half did not work. The thing he changed in the second half, again, was George coming on as the other option for Jackson. If he can make more decisions like that, we've got a chance. I don't see him doing it enough, though, to really give me hope for the rest of the season. I feel like this was a flash in the pan, more of a fluke. If I'm wrong, fantastic. I love to be proven wrong whenever my mindset is based on all the facts I'm seeing, based on all of the performances, the decisions from the manager. Whenever I look at all of that and I see we're not winning a single Premier League match for the rest of the season, and then I get proven wrong, I love it. I wish it happened more often. So we shall see. But until then, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? Let me know. We can talk about, discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. Also, check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here as well as some Let's Plays, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.